flag.
True that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are we okay, Peter? Are we on you? Yep, okay. The minutes from the past meeting of March 26th. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of March 26, 2018.
Thank you. Is it, okay. All right. Is there any additional omissions that you'd like to add, folks? No? All those in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, Kelly? Okay, the meeting overview. I don't think there's anything particularly, whatever Chad and Walter have to present to us. And then general update, and that will be part of that. And then any new business, and then we'll decide on another meeting, I guess. Anyway, before you start, the tour was excellent. It is a beautiful school, beautiful school. Can't say enough. I heard Bob talking about how he was going to use that classroom of his. It was good. So, who's doing the lead, Walter or Chad?
Yeah, I can take it. So we're about 86% through the project, payment-wise. A little bit further than that on the schedule, but we're right on schedule. Contractor knows that 6/22 is the substantial completion date, so we're going to work to get life safety systems up and running, tested, functional. Should be getting an elevator inspection in the next month or so. HVAC unit's been started. We're gonna start final cleaning in A-Wing around the 15th of May, followed by punch list in A-Wing, and we're gonna progress through the building B to C, and just kind of head out the building that way. I think you guys saw tonight, so landscaping started, so they'll be finishing the loam in areas. Trees have been marked out. Those will be coming in, I think, either later this week or early next week. Irrigation's in, clay structures are in. Resilient won't start till we get a little less traffic, and we're working with Ruby and Scott and the construction team to kind of figure out a plan for final paving on that rear, on the loop circle, on the loop road. To kind of get that done, and there's some asphalt that needs to be painted back there, so that's better to get that done as we go through. We walked FF&E delivery companies, or delivery manager in to the building, got them acquainted with the building, so they're pretty happy with the progress so far, so they're pretty sure that we're going to be their first project of the summer. So that's always a good thing, be first on the list, opposed to waiting for equipment. Anything else to add?
I think we covered all the other ones. The zinc dam out in front of the gym, we're told is on a truck, and we should see that going in the next week or two.
Sweet.
If there's any questions we get, but other than that, I think you pretty well captured everything. As far as the phase 2 work, the turnover of those existing buildings is gonna happen a couple of days ahead of schedule. Working with Scott and Ruby and accelerating the movers with Brad a little bit. So that's good. I hope the general contractor get in there and buy some little bit of schedule contingency. Demolition's gonna take a total of 6 weeks between the two buildings. They're gonna start on the front building, and then they're gonna go to the back building. So the plan is to tackle the front building, abate first, and then about 3 weeks of demolition. And then they have some underground subsurface infiltration drainage system to put in, and then some parking lot in in time for the students and teachers to move back into the building. The teachers are coming late August. So we're in great shape schedule-wise.
Questions? Comments? Dan?
Do you recall a while back we talked about the Derek Fry Memorial? Are we still on target? I think we came up with a solution for that at one of our meetings to put a tree in, and
The tree that exists currently.
we decided not to use, right?
We're putting a different tree in, and
Right.
we have the plaque already marked up to go.
Okay, so that's in the plan. I just remember we had voted on that way back.
It's been on the plans.
Okay.
I have a question. I meant to ask you when we were over there, but in the rear part of the school behind the playground, the older kid playground, there's loam in place. Is that gonna just get seeded, or is that plantings, or do you know off the top of your head if that's just grass
It's
or?
a mix, there are some plantings in there.
Okay,
We're adding some trees back there as well.
okay,
So everywhere you see one will be grass and then the plantings all throughout the building. They're actually very healthy planting lawns, that's a nice part that be pleased to see that.
great.
Bring some light to the outside of the building.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Looks good.
Okay, questions, more comments?
The section of fence, the wooden fence in the back, so where that ends, there will be a chain link fence started there at that point?
So there's an existing
Yes.
one that we lost a piece of during.
Oh,
the
okay,
windstorms.
okay,
So working with Dave, we're gonna take down some of, when the old fence comes down, we're gonna use those pieces to rebuild what was destroyed in the storms.
okay.
The amount of wooden fence that you see there was a linear footage agreement between the project and Chanceport, so I believe it was 600 linear feet,
Okay.
and that's where they wanted it, so. It's, a great.
It's a great fence, it looks really good. Now, there will be a fence around the kindergarten playground that we will see eventually come up as well. Pre-K, sorry, yeah.
Appreciate the circle space, it's a 4-foot high fence.
Okay, other questions? Well, how about some comments? You just toured the school. What do you think, folks?
It's beyond impressive.
The TV is on.
It's amazing. I think the students and teachers are in for such a treat. It's gonna be mind blowing, really. Such an extreme change, such a drastic change from what they're working in and being educated in now. It's just gonna be wonderful, and I'm so impressed with how it's coming together, inside and out. It's phenomenal, and being on schedule and on budget is an added bonus. So thank you both for all of your hard work.
It's adapted to handle a 21st century education for sure.
Yeah,
Has the tools to be able to do that very
it's gonna
well.
offer so much.
Yeah, and it's got capacity for growth. So
And I think as we get closer and closer to the opening, teachers, staff are just getting more and more excited, and they're displaying that excitement about going into that school. And the phrase I've been using every day, it just gives a lot of flexibility. So the design of the building gives a lot of educational flexibility in terms of opportunities for students to learn in different ways, in different settings. So it's a real strength of the building, and we're all excited about it.
It's absolutely beautiful. It's amazing to see, because we've talked about it for the last several years, and together we worked on an educational plan a little over 2.5 years ago, and just to see how it's all taken place, because we talked about it and we wrote it down, we put it on paper, and then the architects ran away with it. Really, they're the ones that put it all into action. So now that as we're walking through and looking at sections, spaces, different, the gathering areas, it's just really coming to life. So it will be a transition for us. It's an amazing educational space, and absolutely will be transitioning. Matter of fact, today we had at our faculty meeting, we talked about some of those things with the teachers. We really wanted to hear from them in terms of what are they excited about with regard to going into the new school. What are the things that they are wondering or worried or concerned about, and what are the things that they might find challenging, because we really want to know, and we want to be able to come back to them with some responses and some plans in the works to really help that transition, because it's different. Mrs. Yanulovich and I were just looking at each other saying, it's surreal. I really don't know how I'm going to be when I'm in that new building. It's completely, extremely different from what we're in now. And we will be together. Everyone will be together, and the kids will be in the building. And Mr. Baldo and I have talked about different spaces upstairs as we were walking through. We know that there will be a lot of teaching and modeling with regard to how helping the children, whether it's access spaces, following the rules and the expectations of different spaces, all of what schooling is really all about. So it's exciting. It's going to be an amazing transition. I can't thank you enough. I can't thank the community enough. The kids really deserve this building, and so do the teachers. It's amazing.
I was gonna say, Ruby, in the beginning of this process, we talked a lot about the model school system and all that, and honestly, I would say for anybody looking to build a school that this has been a model process. I think with the representation that was on this committee, with all the way from the selectmen's recommendations, the votes, PMA's activities, the input that was received from the teachers to create that building. It wasn't just coming in and this is what we're going to do. You guys have consistently worked with the staff as well as PMA and the architects, and on schedule, ahead of schedule, under budget, that budget. We've never really hit a bump that we haven't been able to. Well, Dick, I'm not gonna say we haven't hit any bumps, but I'm saying that
Nothing insurmountable.
I think really because of the makeup and the structure and the way this has been done, and with a lot due to PMA, that this has been a great process. I mean, if the state is looking for a model way to build a school, this is a fantastic building we're going to end up with, and the process has gone really well. I think through the whole thing.
People have worked together very well. Really, that's a big piece to really highlight. Also, there's a lot of people involved. There's numerous folks from different areas of expertise, and they've just continually worked together. And every time we have to have a meeting, people are okay. Let's have a meeting, and it's as soon as we can do that, and we talk about all of the things that we can think of, or we access others who can give us more information, because we're trying to do a thorough job.
Have the teachers had a chance to see the inside of the school at all?
Today, actually, we had a tour after school. There was a group of 14 teachers. We have to make sure it's a small group.
Yep.
So there were 14 that were able to go in today. Mrs. Dawson was one of the administrators, and several other teachers went with, I believe, with Walter. And then in March, we had two other tours of the same size. So right around March 23rd, there were a couple other tours.
Yeah, pretty much about every 6 weeks, we seem to be offering up a tour for them to see the
Good.
progress.
Oh.
I mean, are they just
Yeah,
flabbergasted?
in
or
awe.
what?
They are in awe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the teachers that have been sort of waiting to go sort of a little bit later
Yep.
have been, more and more inspired, just because they're able to see more and more of the finished product.
Right.
It'll knock their socks off.
Yes.
Mr. Baldo, how about you? You have a comment?
Yes, I do. I'd like to thank the community for building what I would consider the flagship of the South Coast. I mean, that is the school. People are gonna come visit this school to see what all of you did, along with the community, to create the flagship. I mean, I've been in other brand new schools, nothing compared to what I walked from just now. Nothing. It's been a phenomenal school. And I'm gonna be very happy to be in it.
That's great. I thank you for the comments. I think that's good for our community to see.
Dick, I have one question, actually. I wasn't at our last subcommittee meeting, and I know that we're kind of moving forward with things, but the only thing that really seems gray with that every time we meet is the bricks, and
So,
how that process
I was
is
gonna
actually
ask,
going to work.
it's not on the agenda, but I was gonna ask if we could do a summary of where we stand.
Yeah.
And then actually that subcommittee needs to set another meeting date. And since we have
Yes.
people here, if we could set a meeting date before we leave.
Well,
that'd
I
be
think
great.
one of the concerns is that it's John Delapiscosi that we're
Well,
relying on to do that,
the
and I want to
first
make
thing-
sure that
The first thing on the bricks is, so I've talked to Dave about it recently. We're really saying a max of 50.
okay.
That's what Dave realistically feels like we're gonna be able to salvage from the building.
Okay.
So that's the first thing. We're only gonna have 50 bricks available. And then we have talked to John about being able to etch them. At the last subcommittee meeting, there were some discussions around,
Auctioning or
no,
bidding.
there was
Lottery?
Lottery.
a lottery.
Yeah.
Just because say if there's only
Good idea.
50, if there's only 50 bricks available,
Right.
do we want to
Yeah.
do first come first serve? Especially if if you're gonna do first come first serve, then you have to make sure that you get that word out to everybody at the same
Right.
time. If you're gonna set up a system that's first come first serve.
Right.
So then there was a discussion that was actually brought forward by the PTO, instead of doing first come, first serve, just, give you a deadline saying if you're interested in a brick, get your name in by this point and we'll lottery it off. And, if there's 100, 50 of the 100 get a brick. If there's 55, maybe we can find 5 more bricks out.
Can I,
We can see what the number is.
can I ask a question on the bricks to Dave? You can't, why can't we get more, Dave? I mean, if you want to take a big block of them in a dump truck and dump them at my place, we'd have plenty that maybe could be salvaged.
Well, that was part of the concern. I mean, we haven't, since that number, I've had the discussion with you where, you said you could possibly get people to come in and clean the bricks, because all the
That's
mortar's
what
gonna be chipped
will
off
have to
of it and
happen. We'll have to have
stuff,
some volunteers
so, yeah.
chipping off the mortar, yeah.
And that's the labor part, because it's gonna be easy once the heavy machinery's in from the GC.
Yep.
Obviously I could get more. I think the concern was the labor to get all the mortar off and make them clean. And if there's a possibility of them being etched, then they have to be pretty clean. So I think the labor part was, all right, I don't have it on the town side to supply.
And the labor part is also the etching. So I don't know how easy of a process it is to get those bricks etched, and I don't think, John's not here, so I don't want to commit for him saying that, but everyone seemed comfortable with the discussion of 50 to, someone had set upwards of 100, but I don't think we can make commitment to him etching 500 bricks either. So I think that's why we've kind of consistently floated out that number of 50 to up to 100.
By etching, does it just say, what, GJC?
That's been our other discussion of what is actually going to be etched into the brick.
Well, and that's why this is the only gray area that we leave with every meeting. People have talked about, are the bricks going to be donated and be there? Are they going to be brought home? I just think these are some decisions that as we get closer, we should have more finalized. Because I think it's been left a little too gray that it's all of a sudden
Well, I
it's going to
think
be there tomorrow. And
It was actually going to be one of the primary purposes of that subcommittee meeting was to finalize everything on the bricks.
I just wanted to bring
There's other
here
things
to
as well,
get
but we can
input
still
and
get
hear
people's
what
input.
people here had to say.
And so the
what
things
their
that have
thoughts
been
are.
thrown out there are having a brick in memory of someone that's placed somewhere on the site. That's been brought up. That has some complications in terms of this. So talking to the architect, there's actually some design considerations in that and some cost considerations in doing that that are not currently factored into the process, into the project. But that doesn't mean those aren't costs that the committee couldn't agree to take on. The other discussion has been a very simple etching that says either GJC, Governor John Carver Building, and the date. And so I think the last place we were is the last thing the subcommittee talked about was GJC and the date that the building opened, and that would be a brick that someone could take home and be theirs and do whatever they want with it. They can put it in their own yard, they can display it in their home, they can do what they choose to do with that brick. So I think the last recommendation of the subcommittee, which we were looking to finalize, and it would be great to get people's input on, is which direction would you rather see it go? Would you rather see it go a very simple? Because I think Governor John Carver is going to be hard to etch onto the brick.
Too much.
So it's going to be right. So it's going to be. I think it would be GJC
And then maybe the
and,
year.
and
or
the
something.
year, which there's always but there's always discussion about the year 1953, 1954, 1951, 1952.
1951, what, the Governor
So we'll-
John, the original?
We'll figure out the date.
Meeting
We'll-
1951. I
51,
remember that.
okay.
Now, how
So
long
we
the
can-
construction, when they moved in, I don't know.
right. So we
exactly.
can obviously we'll finalize the date. We
I
know it's
wasn't
early
there.
It's
1950s.
even older than I thought.
I didn't
So-
get there till 1964.
Okay.
So obviously we can do the research on that final piece, but that so yeah, we'd love to get people's input on would they rather see something simplistic like that? Would you rather see the memorial brick that goes somewhere on the site of the building, knowing that there may be some cost implications for that for design? I'd love to hear people's thoughts.
So Dick, is that? I mean, do you see John in those day meetings that you guys have a lot with with Mike?
Yeah, he
and-
does. I don't know if he'll be here this Thursday, but if he is,
We can
I'll
try
see-
to pin him
yeah.
down. I've emailed him a couple times. He is
Yep.
committed to doing the bricks, but we need to pin him down.
Get the details, yeah.
is somebody gonna pay for a brick? So would that money possibly pay for the
etching.
etching?
Well,
That was not the original.
Are
No,
people
from
The
the
original discussion was we had discussed again, John.
He just said he would do it.
He was willing to donate the etching of the bricks.
Yep.
So the cost that people were paying for the brick was not going to that. The cost, actually, our first concept of the cost was that cost would go to help offset the cost of the fond farewell and the grand opening.
Right.
Okay.
And we've been
So, yeah.
talking about $25 per brick, but again, we have to finalize that, that's, you know.
Well, I like the lottery idea because I think then, you know, to Dave's note or to Dick's too, in taking some back to his property, we don't have to be set on a number. It's whatever we can get, and then we lottery off what we get out of what's there.
Right.
Walter,
that.
what like, or Chad, the condition of those bricks being that old, like what kind of,
We've salvaged bricks before in other buildings.
yeah?
But it's expensive to have a prevailing wage laborer do it. I mean, we've spent upwards of $50,000 salvaging bricks.
Oh,
on
God.
a building in Dudley Square just a couple of years ago, and I don't think we're looking to take on
No.
something that magnitude.
No, I think we're looking
No,
to
no.
have us do it, volunteers do it.
I just had a,
Volunteers and the support of the DPW.
you dump them anywhere, I have 50 acres and dump in a pile, and then we'll have a group of people come over with the little hammers there, and we'll clean them all up, and,
Scrap some
So-
bricks from anywhere.
The challenge that we have is
oh, we'll knock down a wall into a truck
I mean,
and take it over.
as they're demolishing the building, how clean do you break the bricks? That's really the question.
Mortar is usually stronger than brick,
Yeah.
Right.
so
But that's what I'm saying with the age of those brick.
Yeah.
What's the reality? What we're trying to do here?
we may
Really?
have to grind it. They might
Yeah.
have to grind the mortar off instead
Right.
of chipping off. But you don't know until it's there.
Right.
What
Alright.
do you,
Do you, do you have to take
A little
all the
stone
mortar off,
grinder
too?
to chip it off instead of trying
grind
to hack
hand
at it.
grinders? Yeah, I
yeah.
got plenty of them.
Oh,
I got a
maybe
couple
that
of them
too.
too, man.
I mean,
Maybe it
we get
actually
a bunch of
dug
people,
up.
we could do, I think.
Right, if you can leave some of it
So
on.
what if they had a little
That's
more
John.
on?
Yeah.
That would be,
Can he etch
It
with
can be a little
mortar?
dirty.
So James, it seems to be, to your point, there seems to be a lot of things that need to be finalized on the bricks.
I guess that's why I brought it up because it seems every time we meet, it's sort of we go, yeah, okay, and we haven't really gotten to any kind of finality with it, and I think we're kind of hitting a.
But I do think we should have a
Right.
discussion on what do we want to do in terms of what do we want to have etched, and is this going to be a brick that people are going to take home and do what they choose with?
I think
That would be
we
my
should take it.
recommendation.
I like that idea, and I think that GJC with
With
the
the
D is perfect because I mean the people who are going to want this, I mean, know what GJC stands for. I mean, it's special to them based on their upbringing and time spent there. So I think that covers it. It's a small area, so I mean, logically, it's going to be.
So the year it opened for students and the year that it closes, or just the year that it opened?
Probably the
Yeah, we also
open.
talked about 1951 to 2000.
It depends on how much they can etch. I mean,
Right.
I guess
It's
John
just-
might
it's so
tell us
small.
it's hard, so you might only get
Yeah.
5 characters or something on it. and
Yeah, I
that's
think,
the best we can do.
Or you do GJC on one side and the years on the back. I don't know. That's got too.
what do they generally do, Walter, Chad? I mean, are they laser done?
I don't know what
How does the etcher work?
Yeah, there's still
We'll have
a
to
bunch
ask
of different ways
John.
you can do it. I'm not sure what he knows.
Yeah.
So I guess number one priority is to pin down
Find out
John.
how many he can do, how many letters. what he
Yeah,
can do.
I
like
do
what
like
the
the lottery
process
idea.
really is involved and what his capacity is to be able to handle.
Yeah.
How many bricks would he want to do or be able
But
to
I
do?
think it is important if I feel like the committee's recommending GJC with the years.
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
that's
so.
really
A generic,
nice. I think that's
easy,
really
much
nice
better that way, yeah.
and simple.
Which I think was the push we were heading with anyway.
But what you're saying about a lottery, but then it's a lottery, but then if you win the brick, then you pay $25. That would you?
Yeah.
So the PTO recommended that they would get the order form ready soon so that it would be available at the fond farewell and that it would be available at all of the town hall, as many places as possible. Library, school, central office, council on aging. So they'd want to have the order forms available for everyone throughout the town. And then what they would do is you'd complete the order form and the check as well, or the cash, and the PTO would collect it. And then, once they knew how many bricks Dave was able to obtain at the end of June, beginning of July, then they would hold the lottery sometime in mid-July and pull those 50 or 75 or however many bricks. they have.
And maybe we wouldn't, if the cutoff is you gotta order by June 30th, maybe we wouldn't even need to have a lottery because we can meet the demand.
Right.
But
So
maybe
what-
if
so
we
in-
can't meet the demand, it'd be a lottery, and if you weren't selected,
Yeah.
your money would go back to you.
Oh,
So
that
their
was
their
my
pay
question.
is
You'd
their
get your
their
money
pay
back.
is when okay, so they're paying
You're
up
gonna get
front.
back.
and
You
getting
get
the
20
money
back if you weren't
Yeah.
selected to receive a brick.
And it would all go to the PTO and they would handle
Unless
that.
you want to donate it.
Well, that was my
That's an
thought, Dan. I
option,
mean,
too.
what if we go less for the brick, like $10, and just make it, it's a donation, and if you win, you win. If you don't, you
Like a
don't.
raffle.
Like a raffle.
Yeah.
I mean, you still just an idea. As I was sitting
we
there
have
listening to you
any-
explain that, I'm thinking, why not? You might end up getting more that way.
And do we have any sense of how many people would be interested in this?
Not sure.
That's what I
Yeah.
was just wondering.
Yeah.
Do we actually have demand? We
Right.
use that word a couple
Right.
times, but-
Like, I
Right.
have no idea.
Right.
We may only want 35 people want it, and then we'll get 35 bricks.
Yeah.
I have
I mean,
a
that's
sense
the
that we're
risk
gonna have a
with-
lot of teachers that would want to have a brick.
Well, I guess I'd say it's a risk, but in the same sense, it's not a profit. We're not trying to profit from it. We're just trying to pay whatever we spend on the other, on the events. Really, if there's anything left over, it's going to go either towards track or something with the school.
It's good. It is. It's, the order form's going to say that if any money that's not used towards either the fond farewell or the grand opening will go to the running walking path at the new elementary school.
So I mean, you can open it up as a raffle or as a lottery. I guess either way, right?
If there wasn't a big demand, was there any thought to maybe doing a small walkway or something with those bricks, and that would be symbolic of the carried over?
Yeah, if they
and
do the
they're
path, the
there?
running path, you could.
To that point, you had talked about bringing the bricks home and not doing that. As I was thinking about the Eagle Scout that not that long ago built down in North Carver.
Yeah.
Right, so if we do have stuff left over, it's not something necessarily PMA or anybody would have to take care of. It could be an in-town project or something that we could use to create a little memorial there with some of the bricks that's wanted.
Put them, at least part of them down there.
You know,
Maybe you could have families that just want to etch their name, like a center brick that has the GJC and has the date, and then you have families that maybe paid the $10 and have their names around it, and have to walkway in between something. I'm just getting creative. I'm just thinking.
But I also
Oh,
think
but
that
that's it.
that would be a longer phase project if we're going to do it outside. That would be a longer time frame if we're going to do that outside the project.
But I think
Because
he's
that wouldn't
talking
happen
about.
until at least a year from now.
I think he's talking about if if the bricks don't sell, if like this idea that we're talking about doesn't float, and there aren't a bunch of people trying to get a brick that says GJC with the dates on it, and we've got bricks left over. That's something we could do with those bricks,
Absolutely.
as opposed to just sort of
Nice. I think
making it
nice.
a waste.
Right, use them as.
So
part
it's
of
better
it.
off as a long-term plan, Scott. We're looking at the plan now, regardless of how many we end up with. There's a use for what we might get in one way or another.
We could sell them all summer long at the farmer's market. And
Discount.
we can get a detention group to chip the bricks off.
I want the certification of authenticity.
Yeah.
Okay,
Orange, would they have to wear orange or anything?
Okay, we have to set the
Is
date.
that helpful for you?
Yeah. Well, we need to set a date. That was helpful.
Okay.
In terms of.
Was there anything else like from that meeting, that one, the last meeting though, that you guys were?
I mean,
That's pretty much the
we're
focal or-
honing the events.
Yeah.
So we can. I think it'd be important to say the dates of the events again. So June 9th is the fond farewell from 3 to 6. It's a Saturday. Things that we plan on having happening that day is there is going to be a DJ from Boostathon. We're planning on asking someone to be there to take photos, which we've talked about. We're going to have food provided by Carver Culinary and the
You.
PTO. Mr. Baldo is working on a slideshow for June 9th. And
And it's at the existing elementary school.
it's the existing elementary school to say goodbye to those buildings. One of the thoughts that we came up with the last meeting was we're going to open the front doors to the Governor John Carver. So that's how we want people to come in. Those doors haven't been open in a while, but there's no reason why we can't. The doors do open. Obviously we don't do it for security reasons anymore, but for the Saturday event, I'm assuming that's how people entered the building. That those front doors were designed as the entry to the building. So we thought for the fond farewell it makes sense to have those doors be open.
Nice.
So we're gonna, solicit some decorations for the front of those front entryways, decorate those front entryways, and have people enter through those doors. into the, I think people will visit both buildings, but I think the sense is people are going to visit the Governor John Carver building more so than the Erwin K. Washburn building. So that was a thought that we came up with at our last meeting to do it that way. And really that's a walkthrough, open event. There's no formalized, right now we're not planning a formalized presentation at the Fond Farewell. It's just making the community aware of it. You can come up to the building, you can take pictures, you can write on the wall, you can do a handprint, there'll be food, and it's really, on your own. And you can take as much or as little time as you want to go through with no formalized speaking presentation.
Right.
Just the building's open for the community and the community will be there. And then, Bob and Ruby, if you want to add anything to those for the Fond Farewell.
Yep, so we have a lot of students that will be gathered in pairs in different parts of both of the buildings and outside to greet families and direct them if they need, and then help them to, let them know where the markers are, where different things are happening. We will have a couple of student activities. We're going to have the PTO is working with us to make little schoolhouse cutouts and have students be able to just kind of color or write on them, and we'll set those up in one of the buildings. And then we're going to have another activity just for kids, because we felt like we had quite a few things for the adults, but we really wanted opportunities for the kids to do something with more art and craft related, but it's not all that structured, but it's going to be available for them. And then we have reached out to Mike Paddock, who is very excited about helping us to decorate with flowers and plants. So he's ready and on board.
Nice.
So how are we advertising that? Has that
So
been...
we decided not to do invitations for the Fond Farewell. So we're just going to advertise it through social media. PTO has said that they'll take on the leadership of organizing that. And then also we're going to advertise it. The school's going to reach out to use all their facilities that they can to do it, whether it be the Schoolway app, phone call, all those pieces. And then we have to get information down to each of Cranberry Village, each of the villages, and make sure that everyone's fully aware that that's.
So do we have the idea? I think we were talking about at least having a hard copy invitation that we could.
We're talking about doing a
not
flyer.
One that we'd do as a mail up, but like a flyer
that we could put up throughout the town. Yep.
Okay.
So that's in progress.
Right. And Kelly and I are working on, we have a lot of the retired staff emails, so we're doing just an electronic invite.
That's nice. So if you see Mike, have the selectmen, maybe making sure the selectmen are promoting this some too and talking about it at their meeting.
Absolutely.
Maybe put it on some of the electronic boards too. The
Yeah, we'll have it on all
Yeah.
those. We'll have it on all that.
Just ahead of, like a couple weeks ahead of time.
Yeah, I guess that's my
So
point,
people
Dan.
would
It's
drive
going to
it
come
through
quick
town, they'll
again, and
see
it's
it,
something
yeah.
you want to make sure people are saving
Yeah,
the
we're
date
on
for,
top
you
of that
know.
piece.
We'll get it on the marquee this week.
Maybe the fire department will be willing to put
That's
it on
just-
there.
Yeah.
They would do it for us.
Yeah.
It would.
It's a
There's
month
already-
away.
There's
That's what I'm
flyers
saying.
out, because I got a flyer at town meeting, didn't I?
Yeah, we did a flyer town meeting, so
Yep.
everybody got a flyer town
And I
meeting.
think that was pushed out on the app too already, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
so we're-
Facebook. Yep.
And we're going to
Yep.
continue to do that.
Um,
And then I'll just do a brief summary of where we are for grand opening, if that's okay with everybody. And then again, Ruby and Bob and everybody can jump in. So grand opening is we would do, this is who we have down as the speakers. So Dick, you're on the list. We haven't necessarily invited you yet, but you're on the list. Our last meeting we did this for the order of speakers, is that I would be the master of ceremonies, so I would begin the introductions. Dick, you would be on the list as the chairman of the school building committee. We're going to do a speech contest for a 4th grade student. So our current 4th grade student who will be a 5th grade student next year. So they will be a speaker, and
Yep.
we're going to organize that speech contest.
It's in the works already, and the teachers are working on it, ready to have an essay contest.
Yep. And Jack McCarthy from the MSBA, Michael Milanowski, town administrator, Ruby Maestas, principal of Carver Elementary School, Bob Aldo, teacher at Carver Elementary School, and then I would do some closing comments. There'll be a ribbon cutting, and our plan for the ribbon cutting is to extend the ribbon throughout the main entrance to the building. The presentations right now would be outside. Our plan would be to be outside. So we'll be working with Dave in terms of sound outside. But then, obviously if it was rain, we could go inside and go into the
Sorry.
multipurpose room. But our thought for the ribbon cutting is we'd actually have 10 kids do the ribbon cutting, a male and a female from each grade 1 through 5.
Cute.
So incoming first, second, third, fourth, and fifth graders, and then we'd have members of the building committee behind them. So we're gonna have a long ribbon,
Yeah, that's awesome.
a long ribbon with a lot of little scissors. But we felt that.
What is the date of the grand?
Sorry, so we did finalize the date as Wednesday, August 29th. I know there was a lot of discussion about that, but in the end, the group felt that that was the best date because running into the concerns about having it over the Labor Day weekend.
You must have set a time up too.
We set a time 5 o'clock. We're saying 5 to 7. It could go beyond that. So that event would start with the speakers outside. Everyone's outside. We do the presentations. We cut the ribbon. Enter into the building, and then in the building there'll be the opportunity there'll be students available in terms of doing tours, a scavenger hunt, and then we're gonna have the students for each of the named areas of the building, each of the named project areas. We're gonna have students there presenting why that is named after that person. So we're gonna have students available in each project area to talk about that, similar to what they did for us as the building committee. And then we'll have food, we'll have music. Those are pieces we're still working on. I thought for the grand opening is that, and so I'll begin to make this pitch now, is that for the grand opening, talking to PTO and Chef, based on I think we're going to get a great turnout for that event. Not that we're not going to for the Fall and Farewell, but I think we're going to get a great turnout for the grand opening. And they're concerned about their capacity to be able to do food without assistance from local restaurants. So there's going to be a plan for us to solicit from local restaurants to be involved, sort of like the fire station did, I believe, to have the local restaurants in Carver be involved in the grand opening and help assist provide food along with the Carver High School Culinary and the PTO. Ruby, any other big pieces?
Will anyone really be able to give a tour by that point, or do we need Chatham Walter? I mean, Chatham Walter to come. Are we gonna know our
We'll be
ways
there, but
around yet?
We'll certainly be able to give tours, and we'll.
Right. I was envisioning that we would do some training to some of the adults in August to see who wanted to volunteer to give tours, but I also wanted to have students do some tours as well. So we expect to have some of the kids come in at some
Learn
point,
their
a
way
small
around
group
a
of
bit.
them come in,
Yeah.
because we do want it to be as student oriented as possible. So some older students,
Right.
and then they'd have maps, so that would help help them as well.
When are we going to be able to, we meaning teachers and people who work in there, going to actually be able to get in there?
August 13th.
Yeah, mid-August.
So you have a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Great. Sounds
So
amazing.
it sounds like a full time too. Is 5 to 7 a realistic time frame?
Yeah, it might be 5 to 8. I don't think we're really planning on setting a back end time.
Okay.
People can stay as long as
So
they want to
you
stay.
could- you could just say
Hopefully it's
starts at 5.
Starts at 5
Yeah.
o'clock. Yep.
Yeah.
Starts at 5 o'clock. And
August 13th.
for the grand opening, for that event, we are going to do formalized invitations, not to the entire community, but sort of like we did for the groundbreaking. We're going to develop an invitation,
Did everybody see that fire station one? Who's got that?
There it is by John.
and
John's got it.
and Anne Marie Matrano and I are already working on
Guys have
the
seen
invite
it
list.
before, but
Yeah.
take a
So-
look.
Anne Marie and I are working on the invite list for the grand opening. And, we'll probably bring that back to members of this group just to review. Dick, you had helped us with the groundbreaking in terms of
Mhm.
invitations, community members, and
Yep.
so that's a work in progress. So that's kind of a summary of where the subcommittee stands on planning the fond farewell and the grand opening. And then we want that subcommittee to set a meeting date in the next couple of weeks to really finalize our plans, probably for the 9th. The fond farewell is coming up soon, so we want to make sure we have at least one more meeting before that happens. So I don't know if the members of that committee want to, I can throw a couple of dates out for people.
Okay, let me see.
A member of one of the mobile home parks asked me if we were going to come down to their park and thank them for being supportive of it. I thought maybe that's something
So
I should do.
I'm more than willing to do that, and I don't know if you're aware of this. I offered out to many community organizations, and I actually talked about when I put out my invitation to them to have me come as the superintendent of schools, I said I was going to come and talk about just what was happening in the schools and all the great things that were happening in the school community. At that time, when I did do that, which I did at a couple villages, I didn't do them at all, but I did it a couple, I was very clear, and I thank you for their support of the new school, the accelerated repair project at the middle high school, and then said, hopefully you're going to support us at town meeting for the new track and field project at the middle high school, which ultimately people did. So we can communicate. So I've been some places,
Yep.
and I will go any place you want to go. I'll go with
This
you.
person was on Wareham Street. What's the name of that park? Pine Tree Village.
I did not go to Pine Tree Village, but
Yeah,
I've been
well,
more,
yeah, but
more
that's
than
all
willing
right.
to.
Yeah, South Meadow Village?
Yep.
Yep, okay.
Cranberry
Good.
Village I did.
One thing though, Dick, I had mentioned to Scott when we were talking about that was I think it would be nice representation from us if a town member were there also at something like that to sort of,
Sure.
I think it'd make a difference to those people who are looking for someone from the town to be there, whether it's someone
Yeah,
from the
citizen.
selectmen or from the school committee or just somebody else to sort of be there to support that and answer any questions or be.
So,
And I clearly framed as I was coming to speak about the schools.
Yep.
And not necessarily the town. Absolutely.
Hmm?
okay. Any other?
So, we didn't get a date yet, I don't think.
I'm
for-
looking at the 15th or 16th, which is next Tuesday or next Wednesday.
We have para next Tuesday, I believe.
We do.
Mm.
The 16th is also Carver Cares is having a community event that evening, and Dan Portons would like to come to our next meeting because he wants to help plan the food.
Yep.
And he cannot do Wednesday the 16th or Wednesday the 23rd. He said, I can do any other date you select, but I can't do those two dates.
Well, the 17th is the retirement party. Could we?
This is May you're talking about.
Yes, next week
And is
because
For your
it's
subcommittee? Is
it's
there-
the subcommittee for the fond
It's the Monday
farewell,
one.
the bricks, and
I call it the ceremony.
I feel like we need to meet really soon.
Yes.
Do we want to do, how early can people do is really the question.
Yeah, I
You-
can meet and it
Can we do?
3:00.
Yeah, Wednesday, or else you can do.
Me,
Can you do 5?
like it might be able to hit 5.
James, could you do 5?
What's that? Yeah, what day is that?
Well, I was even thinking
Thursday the,
either, well, I was thinking maybe the 14th, next Monday the 14th. We have school committee that
Yeah,
night, but if we
Monday's
did
Monday's all right. I can do.
but if we
Monday.
did it before school committee, if we did 5 o'clock.
I would rather say 5:30 just to go right into. Oh, we got to get
Yeah.
back over here though, unless we met over
We
here.
can we can meet over here, that's fine.
Yeah. 5:30 be
so
fine.
you're meeting here
5, can you
On
do
the
5:30
meeting
on the 14th?
on the 14th at 5:30.
5:30 and 14th?
Yeah.
And I'll
Sounds
spread
good.
that word to, and actually that will work out really well for Mr. Porterlance because we're bringing his group in because they won the Nationals. So they're coming to school committee
Oh,
that
excellent.
So he's staying, well, they finished in 4th place in the Nationals.
That's school
Ah.
committee night. 7.
5:30.
Yeah.
So Monday the 14th, 5:30 will be the subcommittee for
Ceremony.
groundbreaking.
Week from today.
Yep, week from today. That'd be great.
Okay.
And then Dick, obviously, if you're looking to go out to any of the area
I'll
villages,
come over and
we can
visit
talk
you
about that, yeah.
sometime, all right? This week sometime.
And somebody's
Okay.
got to get in touch with John.
Yeah, we'll work on
Oh,
John.
oh.
We'll-
Yeah, we'll see
Yeah,
him
for
Thursday
Good
morning.
Before our meeting.
at the
yeah, we-
construction
somebody
meeting.
hook up with them.
Maybe we can all gang up on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave and,
Dave,
Would
actually,
be-
the person who sees it the most right now is Dave, because Dave's on all the different building committees with him.
I don't know the schedule, but I know we have quite a bit going on this week.
Dave's dying to save bricks.
All right, I think that covers, what wasn't on the agenda, but I think that covers updates of the fond farewell and the grand opening.
Mhm.
okay, very good. Any other new business? Business.
We got one update. Chad, myself, Ruby, and Scott met last week with DCL Sign, about the electronic message board out front. Long presentation. We told him we kind of based our initial estimate off of something similar to the fire station. He was gonna go down and look at that. He was also gonna go down and look at the Warren High School, which I believe we've heard people are not super happy with the functionality of that, but, what he was envisioning was something a little more robust and closer to the range of about 60,000. But that doesn't mean that you have to do that, it doesn't mean, it just means that was his envisioning of it. I think he felt comfortable with the 25 to 30 range at the fire station was something similar to the fire station, that's what you would get. But it's totally in the committee's purview to choose something, or we don't have a design yet, but it's up to the committee.
What are the major differences between those?
I think the one that he's thinking of was bigger and has a lot more capabilities. You can post graphics on it, you can,
Oh,
The LEDs the lights are very different on that one too up there.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to read actually that one when you're going by. It's kind of hard to catch
The high
what
school
it.
one?
Yeah, it's
Station
really hard
one's
to
pretty
catch
good
it.
to read.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of big though.
It was
You're looking
short
at the
when
same
it was
size.
visible. I think that's one of the biggest problems.
It's short. Yeah.
As far as your view on South Meadow.
Yeah.
Even when you're doing the speed limit, which most people don't do. Even when you're doing the speed limit, it comes up on you very quick.
Yeah.
You got trees
And we
on,
only have, we don't have much
close.
control over that because we don't have much, it's not our frontage to clear trees.
Right.
We did what we could. So I think that's the biggest issue with that one. So yeah, we're gonna discuss, cause there are still some trees, there's an existing tree line that's going to stay in front of the governing job. But there's a pretty good sight line there. So we're gonna look at different sizes. And when we gave him guidance to the fire station, it was not that we wanted it to mimic the fire station, but I think on the fire station, they tied the signage, and basically it's the appendage around the sign, what's built, the little hip roof that's built over the sign,
Yeah.
and the base around it and the casework around it is tied into the building nicely. So the guidance we kind of gave them was we wanted that same on the school.
Right.
So he was gonna tie in building products from the school around the sign was kind of the guidance we gave them. So that's what he's working on, and he'll come back with
More
different
clouds.
variations.
It was more clouds, man.
So we're looking at zinc, some of the different.
Yeah, so those meld right in. That's
Just
nice.
something to tie into the
Yeah.
building,
Yeah.
so it doesn't look like it was an afterthought.
Yep.
right.
We're
Yeah,
just stuck
good.
there.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
that
like that.
sounds good.
Definitely clouds.
I suppose the closer they got it to the road, the better the sight line.
He's got all the calculations for the amount of LEDs and spacing on the LEDs and how far you wanna see it and how fast people are driving on the road. He had quite a
Okay,
calculation going.
good,
Know
good.
more about signage and LEDs than I have.
It was a long.
Amazing how
We
when
saw-
you get into different
Sizes.
areas and topics that they're so involved, you have no idea.
Well, we
Right.
could always put a couple of speed bumps in on 58.
58.
Okay, good.
So that
Anything
will just
else,
continue.
Chad or Walter?
On that end, do we want to, full color, large sign, we wanna have him invest this, we have to tell him what direction we wanna head in, so is that the marching order from the committee, make it a more robust sign, understanding that it's gonna be a little bit more in the fire station, but the cost is also gonna be a bit more in the fire station?
Can we see two different versions maybe, the robust sign and something different, just?
Yeah, we can, so we had a consult with him, so he was gonna Photoshop in what he sort of envisioned, so you can see the sight line coming down from the street. So we can circulate that to the committee, and then the fire station sign is really gonna be very simple, the fire station, one color, our spacing on the pixels, very short wordage. But I think he had looked at something that, what was the dimension he was looking at, 30 inches by 12 feet long, so 30 high.
Yeah.
12 feet long, so much,
Sick, I
much
thought
Six
he was
feet
saying-
by 12. 6 feet by 12. Yep.
That's large.
That seems enormous.
But you can, like he said, and the bigger the sign, the more you can get on there, the more you can do it.
12 feet seems kind of big though.
Would the technical committee be the one that you'd wanna, because we haven't set a meeting yet for next meeting, John, for our overall committee. It would be timely, I mean, if you were trying to present two estimates for us, but that, our next meeting, when do we wanna have that?
Yeah, versus the technical meeting group meets every week.
Right. Do you want to assign the task to the technical committee?
Do you need a committee vote for that, or?
No, it
We're-
wasn't that
No.
engineered out, it was something
Okay.
that was just put in for future provisions, so we don't need a committee vote, it could be handled at the TRC level if we want to delegate.
What's your thought? You good with that, John?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you want to put a cap on it with us, or?
Um,
So we talked at the last meeting that it would be $25,000 to $30,000. That was the discussion at the last meeting, but now you're coming back saying it's gonna be about $60,000.
yeah, I think if it's gonna be that kind of number.
No, no, we.
Two
we're
versions, you
based on-
said.
yeah.
Yeah.
We were
They had a
based on
60
fire
and a
department.
30. The fire department one was 30.
Yep.
But you're gonna be bigger.
Don't have to be, just that's what his first vision at it was that what he originally presented was, he didn't actually have a number in, or we didn't tell him to look at the fire department sign first, but his first pass at what he thought would work for the school was a number that was higher than the fire
Well,
department.
12
He asked me to look at it.
12 feet is about the distance in between these two boards
a
right
little-
here. It just seems, from my input, that seems a little excessive.
Yeah, and my other concern would be, are there any other town departments that have to get involved that, like signs and things
Planning
like
board.
that? Like the
That's
planning board.
board.
Do they have to weigh in on this because you're putting another sign there?
What did
Good
they
point.
have to do with the fire department one?
Did they?
You have to go through planning
You
board
have
for
to go for
signage,
planning
yeah.
board. But I would think you don't want to get it to be gigantic. You probably want it to
No.
be somewhere on the same scale of the fire
Well,
department.
I think there is some merit to discuss size, because the messages that the school puts out are not just
For the
as
school.
simplistic
And they're
as
not
the
just
fire
for the
station
school
messages. So
either, yeah.
we may want to consider having at least a longer.
What are the dimensions on the one at the fire department? Roughly? Six-
I would.
That's like a 5 foot?
It's probably
That
bigger
might
than
be
you
like
think.
3 foot by 5 foot, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they
Yeah.
have like
Oh,
very
yeah.
short messages that, I mean, we have on our
Oh,
little
yeah.
letters
We-
PTA meeting
yes.
on
We-
512.
We would
I-
put multiple messages, but it could also scroll
Yeah,
through.
you could-
Yeah, but
Right.
again, we're talking about people driving, so I don't want a 12-foot sign with
Yeah.
people, they're gonna, what are they gonna be doing, stopping to read?
Yeah,
You know what I
that
mean?
12
It's-
feet
I'd be
seems
It
concerned
just
it would
seems
be too
big. It seems like we could do what we need to do with a shorter span than that.
That gets
He-
totally up to.
He also did say that he could potentially bring a trailer with a sign to demonstrate for us.
They-
This-
They did that at the middle high school.
Yeah.
So before that sign went in, we had trailers come with demos.
And that's,
Good
I
idea.
don't know if we want to kind of pigeonhole ourselves yet to any restrictions until we
Yeah,
see
just look at the
what
options.
his-
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
Right.
My suggestion is we see what he comes back with in his reasoning, for maybe certain sizes, see how it looks. I mean, obviously, we don't want a monstrosity out there.
Right.
But there may be reasonings for his signage and given the speed and all the calculations that are going in.
Right.
And, you know, we'll take
Well,
that
but-
under advisement. So I don't know if we'd want to pigeonhole ourselves right now with size or monetary value without.
And I think so I'm on this committee, so to say that, but I think the technical review committee has done a good job at looking at individual costs of each item that's come up. And that's what we do on a weekly basis and have discussions about them. And sometimes we push back on costs, sometimes the review committee said, let's make some adjustments here. So, I feel like that group has done well throughout the project, and I would be supportive of leaving it to that group. And if, just as a reminder for people who that group is, it's myself, Dave, Bill Harriman, John Del Pascoli, and Michael Milanowski.
So I think to the point though, Dave, what you're saying is, this is our chance of input though, if you're leaving it up to the technical committee. So if the technical committee, which half of it isn't here, you know, is gonna make that decision, I think our input on that decision is important to get out now if we're not gonna be there to vote on that decision.
We're definitely hearing a concern about 12 being a 12.
You know what I mean?
Being too big.
Too big.
Too big.
Looking at those design options.
I'm sure we'll be happy with the output, but I just think it's important that we.
I just didn't want to limit ourselves, and then if the committee were to say, nope, we don't want to be that big, or we don't want to go over this dollar value, and then he comes back with, and we look at it, and I think the TRC can always come back to this committee, or it can even be done
Is-
via email.
If we had another building committee meeting a month from tonight, like June, what's Monday, first Monday in June? Like June 7th or whatever it is.
Third or fourth.
Would that,
Is
What
it the
is it?
4th?
Fourth.
Yeah, it's the 4th.
all right, if we had a quick meeting, June 4th, could we have some kind of a,
Presentation.
could they bring a presentation or show us, can that fellow that's,
Push it, we get that, and if we don't.
I mean, just to,
Get something back, we can push it a week later.
There was a day close
like
to
bring,
the-
we could bring
Fifth maybe
the
or
sample board they have on a trailer right out here for that night, then we can come right up here and,
I think the plan would be put it right where we were thinking about putting it. so
oh,
we could drive
okay.
by it.
So we meet right down there.
That makes sense.
Could we do that?
Why
I
not?
think his plan was to leave it there for a couple of days, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna check to see.
Yeah, we'll talk.
even if
Time
they
frame,
have the trailer,
because they have to
one of the
design
schools
and-
Has the trailer.
Right.
But, I mean, these guys also do, they do like the final TD garden, and so we're trying to be conscious of design costs and all that too.
Well, I'm thinking that the technical committee, you can make a lot of the decisions, then we can finalize it maybe June 4th.
The trailer's just gonna have, just for clarification, and maybe people miss it, the trailer's just gonna have the sign,
Size.
the size of the actual
Yeah.
sign.
Not what it would look
Not
It's
like.
not gonna have
Like
any
real
sense of what
sign.
it looks like or anything
Yeah,
like
but
that. It's
the
not gonna have any
size
design
is-
features, it's just gonna have the size of the sign.
But I think it's
Size
helpful to
seems-
compare it to what's there size-wise, even if it's just the sign part, if we can make that happen.
I have faith in the technical committee, as long as it's not 12 feet.
Not more than 30,000.
Not
In under $60,000, I'm sure.
Because this all gets funded out of contingency, right? This is-
Yeah, that's the issue too.
I mean, if they could see the size, and if we could see something maybe on screen that what the, what it would look like.
What it would look like.
Yeah, lit up.
And I think he was gonna provide that.
Yeah, so the trailer off the sign is, it's not gonna show you the size of the sign, this is gonna be a full trailer, right? He's looking more font sizes, so when you go up to the farthest spot where you can see it between the trees, what size font you need to have.
Mhm.
That's what that's for. I think the photoshopped in perspective is really gonna tell you in relation to the building, the stuff around it.
And as soon as we get that, we can forward it over.
So you're not in favor of a meeting on the 4th?
We could meet, we could tentatively say,
And
Or-
we'll
I'm fine. No, either.
verify what the tech
Sure.
committee wants to do.
yeah, you could always cancel if we didn't have
And
any.
we'll meet on the front steps of the Governor John, because that's gonna be a few days before the fond farewell.
Mhm.
No? Okay.
It is.
It is, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep. So June 4th, we can meet, and any other issues that might come up, Chad or Walter, we can deal with, or Ruby or
An
Scott.
update.
Same time, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock?
Mhm.
Is that, okay, 6?
6 o'clock. June.
Next meeting. 6, no, 6/4.
Yep.
At 6 o'clock, right? Okay, good. Anything else? Okay, Scott, so the tech committee's gonna move forward on that, and then we're just
On
gonna
the, on the
verify.
sign, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right, any other business, any other things you wanna talk about, discuss? Don't like? Okay, take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second?
Those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.